Yeah, hi everyone. So just like last week, we're able to ride 150 kilometres now. So we decided to head up to a lookout that I've never heard of called Governor's Chair. So we blasted up there by all back roads and dirt roads, and I fast forwarded this bit. It's pretty basic stuff, just covering some distance to get out west of Brisbane. So Michael is on his 1290 Super Adventure, Neil's on his GSA, and I'm on the 790. And so we blasted off not super early. I think it was a bit chilly in the morning, so wanted to wait till it came up a couple of degrees, but reasonably nice day. A dusty road, so we just do this to avoid riding down the highway as much as we can, and just cover some distance to get out somewhere interesting. You can see most of the territory here is quite flat, but we are riding between some nice mountains, and there's some nice ranges around us. If you want to look on the map, we're in the general area of Maroon Dam and that kind of thing, so we're out in those valleys out there. Nice to get out on a little bit further afield than we have been up till now. So we had a few creek crossings and bits and pieces to get onto the actual trail itself, which is in a national park. We did a little bit of experimenting and looking around, and went through a couple of gates, and usually at the gates, the first person opens it. The second person who gets there pulls up just inside the gate and closes it, and the third person who gets there then rides through. I didn't actually know exactly where we were going. We hadn't shared any tracks or anything. I've got the Zumo XT mounted up now, so on future rides we'll share tracks between the various GPSs, but here I am waiting for to see which way we had to go, looking for the indicators on the bike behind, and then that rider will stay at the intersection and wait until the third rider catches up, which is sort of a loose variant of the cornerman system. That way you know that there's always the person behind you knows which way to turn. So we head up a little bit up into the hills here and start to get into a little bit more variety terrain-wise, and yeah, just your typical farm dirt roads that we get quite a lot of here. These ones you've got to keep a little bit of a lookout. There's a lot of people around still. This is a very popular parking area for the Maroon Lake down there at the bottom, and then we're riding up to the lookout up the top, which is Governor's Chair. So yeah, I've got to say the Zumo XT is proven to be a pretty good match with the 790 dash. I run them both in night mode. I don't like to have the white dash on either of them. I'd prefer to have black with white. It seems to work a little bit better for me with the reflections and everything else. In the next video I'll actually go into the themes. I've actually modified the themes. You can see here that the lines are quite small on it, and one of the things you can do is change the size of the various roads as the line size and the line color. So I've just been editing them in night mode and coming up with a couple of different variations to try out. One of them I did all the roads were white and quite wide. Another one I did the roads were all orange. and quite wide, but it actually was a little bit too wide and didn't really show enough detail when you zoomed in. So I've got 3 or 4 themes. I may actually do a bit of a tutorial on how to change the themes with the editor. I just edit them in Notepad, but I actually open them up in another editor, which allows you to choose colors and then copy and paste the color palette code in the correct format for the Garmin theme. So when we're riding on these roads where they're quite open and you can see a long way in front and you can see around you quite a bit, I don't mind riding close behind Neil. He doesn't spray rocks unduly, and it's reasonably safe to ride. I've got the red guard on my radiator, and just waiting for the headlight unit cover to come, and then I'll be fairly protected at the front as well. But yeah, with regards to the dust, you don't want to get back much further, because then you're actually in the area where the dust starts billowing up, and you can see from the dust here that we're actually catching up to someone. So you've got to hang to the left where there's a right-hand corner where you can't see around, obviously, but left-hand corners usually you can see around, and yeah, obviously we're catching a vehicle here. This is actually the track heading up to Governor's Chair, so I haven't been on this particular one before. I've been on all the roads feeding into it, and a lot of them are familiar from other road rides that we've done, and adventure rides going different places. There's not a heck of a lot of variation that you can do some of these, so we're limited by not being able to go over the border into northern New South Wales, where there's a lot more varied types of tracks, and yeah, some of these are pretty close to where we rode 2 weekends ago. But yeah, nice to get out, and anytime you can ride the dirt, I'll always take that option. We just slow down a bit when there's dust in front. You never know who you're catching up to, and oh yeah, a van and a four-wheeler slowed down to let each other pass, so we zip through. Yeah, I'm running the Sony camera now with a little bit of image stabilization. It makes for a bit better picture. So I reach up once in a while and give the lens a wipe off to get the dust off. I do have a waterproof camera case for it as well, but most of the time they're splash proof, and that's all I've needed so far. I didn't run the one on the tank for this this particular trip, but it would have got some good shots of Neil cruising along behind him there. So with the 150k limit that we've got going at the moment, you're finding lots of people are heading out to the same areas and doing the same things and going for a look in much the same areas, and that was the case here. I think after we pulled up, we heard a bunch of bikes coming up, and 7 or 8 bikes rode up from a Facebook group to come up and have a look. So yeah, we got up there, and I think it was a 150 meter walk up to the lookout, which wasn't much. And these other guys turned up, and we left before they got back to their bikes. Too many bikes. It would be crazy dusty on these tracks. There wasn't much wind. As you can see, the dust is just hanging around, and in between these trees and everything, with that many riders, it'd be pretty dusty and horrible. I'm running the pre-filters on mine for this kind of trip, and I'm doing 2 or 3 pre-filter changes before I have to clean my filters. I've got the Unifilter Australian Unifilter cage, which has got the removable 2 filters, a fine one and a coarse one. So they come with a spare set, which I take away when I'm doing a trip. But the pre-filters, if you oil them lightly, they keep the majority of the dust out. And I got to say, this kind of ride, you're not racing anyone. You're just taking your time and having a look around and having a bit of fun. And it's just an excuse to go see somewhere that you haven't seen before. The 790 does it all so easy. It's almost like cheating on anything that starts to get a little bit rougher. And yeah, this is us up at the car park. So I'll leave this here with a couple of images of the car park and the bikes parked there. I think the next video that I do will be a little bit more of a look at the way I've got the Zumo mounted and everything I've got going on there, and then a little bit of a dive into the menus and the themes and stuff that you can swap around and how to edit those. So cool. Cheers for that. I'll leave you with this little bit of a ride video helmet cam, just showing what it looks like with the wider theme in white, with the bigger numbers and how it performs in different light. If you have it adjusted correctly, your helmet, well, to my eyes, it's adjusted correctly. Your helmet blocks out the reflections. So all good. We'll check you next time, and thanks for watching. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see some more of these videos. There's a couple more coming up and a few more bits and pieces. So yeah, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Cheers.